Last January, a horrifying domestic violence case shook the metro area, even shutting down the Crescent City connection.
The murders of Simone Veal, a young pregnant woman, and Oswego police officer Michael Louvier.
Holt was accused of murdering them before leading authorities on a 7-hour standoff, then taking his own life. All new tonight, Carice Jackman shares never-before-seen pictures, audio recordings, and 911 calls.
It was right here, January of last year, where Sylvester Holt and law enforcement officials spoke for hours. It was a horrifying day and one that the family members of the two victims will never forget.
I've been shot. I've been shot.
The woman on the line is 31-year-old Simone Veal, a Marrero resident and Chicago native. She's also 8 weeks pregnant.
Help me. What's your address?
Veal tells the dispatcher her ex-lover, Sylvester Holt, has pulled up to her driveway in a white U-Haul pickup truck with a loaded gun. Veal takes off in her silver car. You can hear screeching wheels, a crash, then multiple gunshots.
Can you give me your address? Help me.
The line goes quiet. The dispatcher desperately tries reaching her.
Hello? That's probably the one we got working, Kim. See if you can get an address.
But Veal never responds. When officers later arrive, Veal's dead on the scene. People near the scene at the intersection of Ames and Barataria call 911.
Jefferson Parish 911 operator 15, where's your emergency?
Yeah, honey. We got an officer down on Barataria and Ames, honey. And there's a young lady on the ground out here as well.
The officer is 27-year-old Oswego police officer Michael Louvier, a father of two. Thinking it was a traffic crash, Louvier gets out of his unit to help and is shot in the head by Holt. He later dies at the hospital. According to records obtained by Eyewitness News, Dayton Bergeron fears Holt is now looking to murder him as well.
I looked out the window.
And what did you
I
see?
seen a U-Haul truck in my front yard.
Bergeron was Veal's boyfriend at the time she was killed.
Same U-Haul truck from before?
Yes, sir.
Worried about his safety, Bergeron runs out the back door and into a neighbor's yard. Authorities find the U-Haul truck about a minute away, abandoned. Never before seen photos from JPSO show Holt was prepared for more violence. An open box of bullets sits on the passenger side seat. Several boxes fill the passenger side floor and the center console. Pictures from the crash scene show multiple bullet holes on Veal's windshield. Dozens of casings litter the road. Veal, the initial target, is shot 10 times. Holt escapes in a taxi. The cab driver tells investigators Holt got into his car and asked if he could use his phone. Then Holt started acting strange and demanded he let him out here at the Crescent City connection.
And did you think he was going to jump at that time?
Yeah, I didn't know where he was going, but he said to me, just go, go, go.
The cabbie takes off and alerts police. That begins a 7-hour standoff. Holt walks back and forth near the edge of the bridge. Police try talking him out from jumping. The standoff shuts the bridge down and traffic all over town gridlocks. As the sun sets, a gunshot. Holt shoots himself in the chest. Police lift him off the bridge, taking him to the hospital where he dies. Recordings from family members and police records show Holt had a long history of domestic violence. Dayton Bergeron tells JPSO that Veal feared Holt. He allegedly punched Veal in the face, at one point breaking her nose. As it was in other cases, violence was not new to Sylvester Holt. Former girlfriend Ashonda Scott spoke with detectives.
He was trying to threaten me to come into the house, and I told him I wasn't letting him in.
How was he threatening you specifically?
Waving his gun around.
According to Scott, she didn't even know his name was Sylvester Holt. While they were dating, Holt told Scott his name was Trayvon Thompson. She described him as unstable and depressed.
Has he threatened to kill himself before?
Yes, he has.
How many times do you think he's done that?
Oh my God, over 5 times.
Shortly before Veal's murder, Holt had been arrested on suspicion of rape. The alleged victim in that case eventually refused to cooperate with the investigation. In the audio recordings, family members also told police that Veal and Holt were in a relationship for about 10 years, but she broke it off with him because of the initial rape charge. The audio recordings also revealed that the family members say that Veal would call police when something happened, but never filed any charges.
That's always an issue when it becomes the domestic murders. You never know what's going to set it off.
Jefferson Parish Sheriff Joseph Lopinto says if there's no paper trail, it's difficult to lock up an abuser.
Previous abuse is obviously a factor, but it's not the only factor. I mean, you have cases all around this country that they have no criminal history. They've never been, police have never been called to the house, and a domestic murder occurs because it's all built off of emotion.
Nia Weeks with the group Women with a Vision says even when victims take the necessary steps and file for protective orders, oftentimes they remain vulnerable.
Protective orders themselves, the reality is that when someone is so depraved to harm you or harm a woman in that way, they don't care about a protective order. I mean, that's a very harsh reality of where we live in.
Do you think that we take domestic violence seriously in this state, in this country?
I don't.
State Representative Helena Moreno helped toughen domestic violence legislation. The state enhanced penalties for violating protective orders and have added people in dating relationships, not just spouses, to be protected. But still, Moreno says that's not enough.
Until our criminal justice system sees that domestic violence is a trigger for possibly more to come, I don't see changes happening.
Moreno says the state does a poor job of enforcing laws designed to keep weapons out of the hands of abusers under protective orders.
What we never have been able to go far enough in the legislature is to finally do that firearm transfer, to make sure that those firearms are either turned over to police immediately or that they're immediately somehow, divested of these firearms.
Moreno says that could save a life of an abuse victim and a tragedy like Veal's from happening again.
Veal's current boyfriend told authorities that when Holt showed up in their driveway, Veal told him to run back inside, possibly saving his life. We reached out to the Veal family several times for comment, but we never heard back. But what we do hope is that if you are in a domestic violence situation, hearing their stories, you'll get the courage to get out and get help. If you'd like to get any help, we'll have that information for you on our website, wwltv.com. On the corner of Ames and Barataria, I'm Carice Jackman, Eyewitness News.